Have you ever imagined what it would feel like to wake up one quiet morning and discover that half your town had simply disappeared? No loud warnings, no understanding of disease, no medicine. Just silence, the sound of distant church bells, and the growing fear that death itself was slowly walking through the streets. Tonight, we are traveling back into one of the darkest and strangest periods in human history. A time of smoke-filled homes, muddy villages, plague doctors, abandoned streets, and whispered prayers in candlelit rooms. A time when people believed the end of the world had arrived. So settle in comfortably tonight. Maybe lower the lights. Wrap yourself in a blanket and let us slowly wander together through the eerie world of medieval Europe during the Black Death. And before we begin, if you enjoy relaxing history documentaries like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps more than you know. Now then, let the fire crackle softly beside us as we step quietly into the year 1347. Europe already feels old, heavy. The roads are muddy and uneven. Most villages smell of smoke, wet straw, animals, and sewage. At night, darkness covers everything. There are no electric lights. Only candles, lanterns, and moonlight slipping through wooden shutters. For most people, life is difficult, even during peaceful years. Peasant families wake before sunrise. They sleep on rough straw mattresses. Many share tiny homes with chickens, goats, or pigs. Winter feels endless. Even a simple infection can become deadly, but none of this compares to what is about to arrive. Far across the sea, ships are moving slowly toward Europe. Their wooden frames creak against dark water. The sailors on board are exhausted. Some are already sick. Dot. sometimes within only a few days. And for many people, death followed soon after. Parents lost children. Entire households disappeared. And perhaps the most terrifying part of all was that nobody understood why. Some believed the plague came from poisoned air. Others blamed strange alignments of planets. Many believed God was punishing humanity for sin. People searched desperately for answers. Priests prayed. Doctors experimented. Villagers whispered strange theories late into the night. But the disease continued spreading. Slowly, quietly, relentlessly. ... Imagine living during this time. You wake before sunrise. Your village feels strangely quiet. No birds, no laughter, only distant coughing. You step outside your wooden home. The morning air is cold and damp. Smoke rises softly from nearby chimneys. But fewer people are walking the roads now. Doors remain closed. Neighbors avoid each other. Some families hang cloth outside their homes as warnings. Others simply vanish. And each day, more carts roll slowly toward graveyards. ... Church bells become part of daily life. At first, each death receives a proper funeral. Priests read prayers. Families gather. Candles burn beside wooden coffins. The bells ring constantly, hour after hour, day after day, until some people stop reacting to them entirely. Death becomes normal. Workers carry bodies wrapped in cloth. But the plague follows almost everywhere. Medieval doctors look both fascinating and frightening. Because nobody knows who might become sick next. ... One strange fact about the Black Death is how quickly normal life disappears. Markets close, schools empty, churches lose priests, farms are abandoned. Some villages become almost ghost towns. Grass grows over pathways. Doors hang open. Food rots untouched inside homes. And silence slowly spreads across entire regions. Dot, dot. Yet, somehow, life continues. People still bake bread, still fetch water, still repair shoes, still light candles at night. Even during catastrophe, ordinary life never fully disappears. That may be one of the strangest things about history. Human beings continue moving forward, even while the world around them changes completely. Dot, dot, dot. Many medieval people believed certain smells could protect them. So they carried flowers, burned incense, or walked with small bundles of herbs pressed against their faces. Some rich families filled rooms with perfumes. Others carried oranges stuffed with cloves. Strong smells felt comforting. Safe, clean. Dot, dot. Cats were treated strangely during this period. In some places, people feared cats because of superstition. Believed they were connected to evil spirits. Ironically, killing cats may have allowed rat populations to grow even larger, which only helped the plague spread further. And all around you, constant fear of sickness. Animals sometimes slept indoors, too. Dot, dot. Workers calling for bodies, sometimes ringing bells. Families quietly bringing out blankets wrapped around loved ones. Wheels creaking through mud. The horses breathing cold air into darkness. And behind shuttered windows, frightened people listening silently. Dot, dot, dot. Children, during the Black Death, experienced a world filled with confusion. Many could not fully understand what was happening. One day, their parents were healthy. A few days later, everything changed. Some children became orphans. Others wandered cities, begging for food. Many grew up surrounded by constant fear. Yet, even then, children still played games, still chased animals, still laughed sometimes. History is strange like that. Even during terrible moments, ordinary human emotions continue existing. ... The plague also changed religion in complicated ways. Some people became deeply devoted. They prayed constantly, visited churches, confessed sins. Others became angry at religious leaders. After all, priests were dying too. Quietly at first. ... One unusual group during this period was known as the flagellants. Crowds gathered to watch them. The scenes must have felt deeply emotional and unsettling. It also reshaped Europe itself. ... Entire generations disappeared. Entire family names vanished forever. And still, humanity survived. If you walked through medieval Europe after the worst waves of plague, you might notice strange changes. Fields growing wild, villages partially abandoned, buildings collapsing slowly without repairs. Nature quietly reclaiming human spaces. Birds nesting inside empty homes. Grass covering forgotten roads. And silence where busy markets once existed. Yet, eventually, life slowly returned. Markets reopened. Children were born. Churches filled again. People rebuilt homes, repaired roads, planted crops. Human beings have always carried a strange ability to continue after disaster, even after unimaginable loss. And perhaps that is one of the most fascinating things about the Black Death. Not only the fear, not only the sickness, but the resilience, the quiet determination to survive,
To keep cooking meals,
lighting fires, sewing clothing, telling stories, and loving one another, even while surrounded by uncertainty. So tonight, as modern lights glow softly around us, it is strange to imagine how different medieval nights once felt. The darkness, the cold, the church bells, the fear of invisible sickness. Thank you for wandering through this dark chapter of history with me tonight. And if you enjoyed this relaxing journey into the past, don't forget to subscribe for more sleepy history documentaries. Until next time, sleep peacefully. Narrator, calm, loved, let go. The strange thing about fear is how quickly it changes ordinary human behavior. A cough. Even the sound of footsteps outside a home could make someone nervous. No smoke rising from chimneys. Grass-covered pathways. Birds nested inside rooftops. And trees slowly grew around forgotten buildings. It must have felt almost ghost-like. Doctors, during the Black Death, often carried long wooden sticks, not only for protection, but to avoid touching patients directly. They used the sticks to lift blankets, point at swellings, or push people back during examinations. Even doctors themselves were terrified. Many knew they could become infected at any moment, and countless physicians eventually died while treating others. Some medieval people tried bizarre cures that sound almost unbelievable today. Certain towns recommended drinking crushed emeralds mixed with water. Others believed bathing in rose water might help. Some slept beside strong-smelling herbs. Others burned giant fires in public spaces to clean the air. And in desperate moments, people were willing to try almost anything. The wealthy experienced the plague differently than the poor. Rich families often isolated themselves inside countryside estates. They filled rooms with music, wine, stories, and expensive perfumes. Some hired servants to deliver food without direct contact. Yet fear still entered those luxurious homes. Even behind stone walls and silk curtains, the plague remained terrifyingly close. Because disease does not care about wealth. For poor peasants, survival was often brutal. Fields still needed planting. Water still needed carrying. Imagine waking before sunrise, knowing neighbors had died overnight, yet still walking into cold, muddy fields because your family needed food. That was reality for millions. Bread left on tables, doors hanging open, homes suddenly empty because entire families had died or fled. In some places, travelers discovered villages where almost nobody remained alive. The silence must have felt unbearable. As the plague continued spreading across Europe, something strange began happening to time itself. Days started blending together. Morning felt the same as evening. Church bells rang so often that many people stopped counting them entirely. And for thousands of medieval families, life became a slow routine of fear, exhaustion, and uncertainty. Imagine waking up before sunrise inside a small wooden home. The air is freezing cold. Your blanket smells faintly of smoke from last night's fire. Beside you, other family members sleep close together for warmth. Some cough quietly in the darkness. Others toss and turn on rough straw mattresses filled with dust and fleas. Outside, the wind moves softly through narrow village roads. And somewhere in the distance, a church bell echoes through the fog once again. For many medieval people, mornings began with anxiety. Not because of work, not because of hunger, but because every new day carried one terrifying question. Who would become sick next? The plague moved unpredictably. One household might survive untouched, while another disappeared completely within days. This uncertainty slowly exhausted entire communities. People stopped making long-term plans. Some stopped caring about the future at all. And when human beings begin losing hope in tomorrow, even ordinary life starts feeling dreamlike.
Markets during the Black Death became strange places. The usual sounds of laughter and bargaining grew quieter. Fewer merchants arrived from distant towns. Fewer travelers visited cities. And many market workers covered their mouths with cloth while speaking to customers. Fresh bread still appeared on wooden tables. Fish still arrived in barrels. Farmers still sold vegetables and grain. But fear sat invisibly beside every transaction. Nobody fully trusted anyone anymore, especially strangers. One deeply eerie detail about plague years was how quickly rumors spread. A single traveler could arrive carrying terrifying stories from another city. He might describe streets filled with corpses, mass graves outside town walls, entire monasteries emptied by disease, and within hours, panic would spread through the local population. Because in medieval Europe, information traveled mostly through frightened voices, and fear often traveled faster than truth. At night, many people struggled to sleep.
Imagine lying awake inside a tiny medieval cottage.
The room is dark except for weak orange firelight.
Rain taps softly against the roof.
Animals move quietly nearby.
The smell of smoke fills the air, and every small sound suddenly feels important. A cough from another room.
Footsteps outside.
A horse moving through mud. For medieval families, nighttime could feel endless during plague outbreaks, especially for parents watching over sick children. Many people prayed before sleeping, not only for protection, but simply for another peaceful morning. Some believed angels watched over homes. Others feared demons wandered through plague-ridden towns after dark. The line between religion and fear became blurry during these years. And honestly, medieval Europe already felt mysterious even before the plague arrived. Most people had never traveled far from home. Forests seemed enormous and dangerous. Medicine barely existed, and natural disasters often felt supernatural. Then the Black Death arrived and made the world feel even more uncertain. One particularly haunting sight during the plague was the abandoned countryside. Fields left unharvested, windmills no longer turning, empty farms slowly collapsing beneath rain and snow. Nature began reclaiming places where families had lived for generations. Birds nested in broken rooftops. Grass covered forgotten roads. And silence spread across regions once filled with human activity. Yet, despite everything, people still searched desperately for comfort. Some gathered around storytellers at night. Others played music quietly inside taverns. Certain families continued celebrating small religious festivals. Because even during disaster, humans naturally search for moments of peace. That may be one of the most beautiful things about history. People continue living even when life becomes frightening. The plague also changed the meaning of friendship. Neighbors became careful around one another. Visits grew shorter. Handshakes disappeared in some towns. And people who once shared meals together now avoided close contact entirely. Loneliness quietly spread alongside disease. Some medieval people even believed certain words could attract sickness. So conversations became quieter, more cautious. Whispers replaced laughter in many homes, and fear slowly settled into everyday life like cold winter fog. Meanwhile, grave diggers became some of the busiest workers in Europe. Large burial pits appeared outside city walls. Workers moved quickly because there were simply too many bodies. The smell near these graves must have been overwhelming, especially during summer. Some gravediggers covered their faces with herbs and cloth. Others drank strong alcohol before working, not for celebration, but to numb the horror surrounding them. And yet, even these workers eventually became emotionally exhausted. Death had become too common. One strange psychological effect of the Black Death was how it changed people's sense of normality. At first, seeing a body in the street shocked communities. Months later, many barely reacted at all. Humans adapt to terrifying circumstances surprisingly quickly, even when those circumstances feel unimaginable. Children growing up during plague years experienced a world shaped entirely by uncertainty. Many lost parents young. Some became servants. Others wandered from village to village searching for food. And yet, children still found ways to play. They chased dogs through muddy streets, tossed stones into rivers, ran through fields at sunset. Because childhood continues existing even during history's darkest moments. One especially fascinating part of plague history is how ordinary medieval people tried explaining suffering. Without science, many searched for meaning through religion or superstition. Some believed humanity was being punished. Others believed the stars controlled disease. And many accepted suffering as simply part of life itself. This mindset made medieval people psychologically very different from us today. Modern humans expect answers. Medieval people often expected mystery. And perhaps that is why the Black Death felt almost supernatural to them. Even wealthy castles could not fully escape fear. Imagine a noble family dining beneath candlelight inside a large stone hall. Servants quietly bring food. Musicians play softly nearby. Yet, despite the luxury, everyone still fears the same invisible disease spreading beyond the castle walls. The plague created one strange equality. Kings, peasants, merchants, monks, and farmers all feared the same thing. Death suddenly felt close to everyone. And this realization deeply changed European society forever. Art became darker. Religious sermons became more emotional. People thought differently about life, time, and mortality. Some historians even believe the Black Death helped reshape Europe into the modern world centuries later. But of course, medieval people themselves could not see the future. They simply focused on surviving one more winter, one more week, one more night. And perhaps the saddest part of all was how many people died alone. Families feared infection. Friends stayed away. And countless sick individuals spent final days in silence, surrounded only by candlelight and distant church bells. Yet through all this darkness, humanity survived. People rebuilt villages, reopened markets, planted crops again, married, raised children, told stories beside warm fires. And slowly, over many years, life returned to Europe once more. But the memory of the plague never fully disappeared. Even generations later, stories about the Black Death continued haunting families across medieval Europe. Stories of empty streets, dark winters, plague doctors, mass graves, and the endless sound of church bells echoing through the fog. And tonight, centuries later, we still remember those nights too.